After my wife's sister died, she was eager to carry on the family name for her brother-in-law. My wife's sister and brother-in-law had a car accident while traveling. Her sister died on the spot, and her brother-in-law broke a leg and could no longer stand up. The brother-in-law's dad and mom cried and begged my wife, "Emily, your sister is gone, and your brother-in-law misses her so much. Aunt Daniel begs you to help our Daniel family have an heir, okay?" Hearing this absurd proposal, I refused it sternly without even thinking. But my wife looked at me with disgust. "You are too narrow-minded. Brother-in-law is an only child, and we owe it to him. What's wrong with helping him?" Even my 5-year-old son accused me. "Dad is bad, Uncle Daniel is so pitiful. Why are you bullying him? It's just a child. Why are you so petty? Brother-in-law has already lost a leg, and half of his life went with his sister. Isn't it worth it if I can save my brother-in-law's life with a child?" Emily held my hand tightly. "Michael Zimmerman, you have always been kind-hearted. You know that the brother-in-law is the only son of the Daniel family. Do you want to watch the Daniel family die out?" It was difficult for me to listen to her words. After a long silence, I still said, "But you are my wife. How can I bear to see my wife have a child for another man?" Emily shook off my hand fiercely. She pointed at my nose. "I am your wife, but I am also my sister's sister. Now that my sister is gone, I have a responsibility to take care of my brother-in-law. You are jealous of this kind of thing. How disgusting you are." After speaking, she glared at me with disgust. "You don't need to say any more. I have already promised Uncle Daniel, and I can't break my promise." My heart trembled. I don't understand why, after her sister's death, her brother-in-law became her responsibility. Just as I was about to say something, my 3-year-old son ran over and glared at me angrily. "Bad dad, Uncle Daniel is so pitiful. Why are you still bullying him?" I was so shocked by his words that I didn't know what to say. Soon, Daniel Cloud came in from outside, pushing a wheelchair. When he saw the scene, he lowered his eyes and said in a low, disappointed voice, "Otherwise, I should just go home. Now I'm just a useless person. What right do I have to ask Emily to help me have offspring? I don't want to force you. It's just a pity that the Daniel family is destined to die out in my hands." As soon as he said this, Emily rushed forward to cover his mouth, tears hanging in the corners of her eyes, about to fall. She choked and said, "Brother-in-law, don't say that. I'm willing. Sister is gone, and your body is not convenient. From now on, let me take good care of you, okay?" Daniel Cloud shook his head. "No, Michael will mind." Emily quickly said with heartache, "Since I have already promised you, I will never go back on my word." Besides, her voice turned cold. "What right does he have to mind? I didn't marry him because I liked him back then. If sister hadn't confessed to you first, the person standing by your side would be me now." Hearing her words, my body froze. I didn't expect that Emily would say such a thing. Back then, I fell in love with Emily at first sight, but she never looked at me directly. It wasn't until the day after Valentine's Day that Emily suddenly came to me and said she wanted to be with me. At that time, I was so overwhelmed with joy that I didn't even think about the reason. For Emily, I gave up my obligation to care for his parents and followed her to her hometown, just because she said she didn't want to be too far away from her parents when she got married. I never thought that she had been secretly coveting her brother-in-law for so many years. As if sensing that I was still there, Emily's eyes fell on me, and she explained, "Michael, don't misunderstand, I'm talking about things from the past. From the day I married you, I've settled down and lived a good life with you." I gave a stiff smile, and a chill spread from my spine to my whole body. I didn't say anything, turned around, and wanted to leave, but Emily suddenly turned cold. "What do you mean by this?" Showing a face to whom. "Since brother-in-law has concerns in his heart, you should tell him in person that you don't care, so that brother-in-law can rest assured." I was also a little disheartened. I raised my eyes and looked at her, saying word by word, "I mind." The next second, Emily's slap landed heavily on my face. Her chest heaved violently, and her eyes turned red. "Michael Zimmerman, do you have any humanity? You know that brother-in-law just wants to carry on the family name for the Daniel family. Why are you being so aggressive? Brother-in-law has lost his lover, he's already pitiful enough, and you still treat him like this. You're simply a beast." With her words, I felt cold all over. I took a deep look at her, and I understood that from today onwards, I was also going to start losing my love. Although she was still alive, her heart was no longer with me. I pursed my lips and said in a hoarse voice, "Emily, if you insist on having a child for your brother-in-law, then let's get a divorce." After speaking, I turned and left without waiting for her answer. Before closing the door, I heard Emily ingratiatingly say to Daniel Cloud, "Brother-in-law, don't be angry. Michael Zimmerman loves me so much that he doesn't dare to divorce me. He's just a wimp. Look, he doesn't even dare to get angry with me, so how could he be willing to divorce me? Don't worry, I will help the Daniel family carry on the family name." The moment I closed the door, a tear fell. Suddenly, there was a sound behind me. I still had some inexplicable hope in my heart. When I turned around, I found my son throwing my backpack out. His voice was so innocent, but the words he said made me feel cold. "Dad, you should reflect on yourself." "I don't care now how I could have a cold-blooded dad like you. I hate you." I clenched my backpack tightly, looked down at my son, and still asked, "Jacob, if Dad and Mom get divorced, would you be willing to go with Dad?" But my son pushed me away, screaming and refusing, "I don't want to go with you. You are a wimp, a loser. I don't want to be like you." My heart suddenly turned cold. My son, whom I had loved for 5 years, actually said such harsh words to me. I straightened up, didn't look at him again, and turned to leave. After leaving the house/apartment, I went to the company dorms to stay temporarily, and Emily didn't contact me for more than a month. I was too lazy to look for her, thinking about how to divorce her. That day after work, I was about to go back to the dorms as usual when I saw Emily waiting for me at the company gate. As soon as she saw me, her eyes lit up, and she ran over and hugged me tightly. After a long time, she said with heartache, "Michael, you've lost weight. Be good, don't make trouble, come home with me. Do you know how much I miss you?" My nose suddenly felt a little sour. After all, she was the woman I had loved for so many years. How could I give up so easily? I asked her, "Have you thought it through? Are you going to send your brother-in-law away? You can't be blamed for your sister's death. You don't need to shoulder the rest of your brother-in-law's life. In the future, we will try our best to help your brother-in-law. But don't talk about having children to carry on the family name." I reached out and stroked her hair, but the next second, Emily slapped my hand away fiercely. She raised her face from my chest and glared at me fiercely. "Is this the result of your half-month reflection? Why do you never know how to be considerate of others, always being jealous?" My heart turned cold. I pushed her away from my arms, took a deep breath, and then asked, "What are you looking for me for?" Emily glanced at me, a coldness flashing in her eyes. She ordered me, "I'm pregnant. You move back home to take care of me. Brother-in-law's body is not convenient. You don't expect me, a pregnant woman, to do the laundry and cook every day, do you?" I then understood that the reason she wanted me to go home was not because she missed me, but because she wanted me to go home to take care of her, who was pregnant with her brother-in-law's child. A chill surged into my heart. In just 1 month, Emily was pregnant with Daniel Cloud's child, so what was I? I wanted to calm down, but my voice inevitably trembled when I spoke. "Don't even think about it." I said, "If you choose your brother-in-law, then we will get a divorce." "That's right. Aren't you distressed about him? Without me, the two of you can be together openly. Hearing my words, Emily slammed the bag in her hand on my head, and the zipper hanging on the side scratched my forehead, and beads of blood rolled down my cheeks. But when she saw this, she didn't feel any heartache at all. Instead, she sternly accused me, Michael Zimmerman, how can you be so dirty? Your words not only insulted me, insulted my brother-in-law, but also let down my dead sister. Brother-in-law and I are innocent. Why should we endure your malicious speculation like this? I was blind to have fallen for a man like you. My heart was no longer turbulent. I sneered, yes, you are innocent, so innocent that you can have a child for your brother-in-law after your sister's death. Do you think this doesn't count as insulting your sister? Emily cried and sobbed, as if she had suffered a great grievance. How can this be the Michaela? My sister didn't give birth to a son or daughter for the Daniel family before her death, so she was the one who let down her brother-in-law. I'm just trying to atone for her now. Listening to these absurd words, I opened my mouth but didn't know what to say. Suddenly, a force came from behind me and slammed into me. I turned around and my son was standing behind me with an angry face, his little face tightly wrinkled. Why are you bullying Mom? I want Uncle Daniel to be my dad. Mom, I don't want Dad anymore. Dad is bad. My face turned cold. Say that again. Emily slapped me in the face again, her eyes glaring at me fiercely. Enough. Michael Zimmerman, you're something, getting angry at your son. The son is young, but he's not stupid. He likes whoever treats him well. Isn't it normal that he doesn't like you and likes his brother-in-law? It's just because you are usually too strict with your son. Emily looked disgusted. What you have to do is reflect on yourself and change, instead of yelling at your son all day long. The sound of a wheelchair rolling came from a distance. I then realized that Daniel Cloud was also here. He controlled the wheelchair and came forward, looking at me apologetically. Michael, I'm sorry, if it weren't for me, you wouldn't have argued with Emily. Emily quickly interrupted him. Brother-in-law, what's wrong with you? You're just too kind. Saying that, she looked at me again. Michael Zimmerman, do you have any conscience? I'm pregnant and you still refuse to come home to take care of me, only thinking about being happy and free outside every day. It happened that a colleague passed by. Hearing her words, the colleague looked at me with disdain and cursed. It's disgusting to have an animal like you as a colleague. Yeah, what a beast in human clothing. I was wondering why he suddenly went to stay in the dorms this month. It turns out he doesn't want to take care of his pregnant wife. Emily looked at me triumphantly. Did you hear that? Why don't you obediently come home with me? My hands and feet were cold. I didn't understand how Emily could have become like this. Perhaps, as she said, she had never loved me. Seeing that I didn't answer, my son picked up another stone from the ground and threw it at me. Did you hear me? Mom is going to give me a little brother. And Uncle Daniel needs someone to take care of him, too. You hurry home. He threatened me, otherwise, I don't want you as my dad. Daniel Cloud quickly said, Jacob, you're not allowed to talk to your dad like that. Apologize to Dad quickly. Although he said that, I saw a hint of joy flashing across Daniel Cloud's face. The son stuck out his tongue. Uncle Daniel, but Dad is bullying you. I hate him. Daniel Cloud looked at me and said, Michael, kids don't understand things, don't take it to heart. I stared blankly at Daniel Cloud, apologizing to me for my son. The three of them looked more like a family than I did. I suddenly smiled. Okay, I'll go back with you. Emily nodded in satisfaction. Michael, you finally figured it out. That's right. Don't worry, after the child is born, the child will be left to Uncle Daniel and Aunt Daniel to raise. It won't affect us. Returning to the house/apartment I hadn't been back to for more than a month, I almost couldn't recognize it. The whole house/apartment was full of traces of Daniel Cloud's life. Even the bedsheets and quilts in the bedroom had been replaced with ones I had never seen before. My clothes in the closet were even squeezed out of space. Emily's lace underwear and Daniel Cloud's boxer briefs were tightly next to each other. Just as I was in a daze, Emily came over. "Michael, please understand, this room has good lighting. Brother-in-law's legs won't hurt living here. It's good for his recovery." I smiled and echoed, "Yes, your sister is gone. You should take care of your brother-in-law and carry on the family name for him." I was too narrow-minded before. Emily looked at me in surprise. "You're right to think that way." I squatted down and took out a long sealed folder from the innermost part of the closet. Before going to bed at night, I placed the folder and the divorce agreement neatly on the table and left the house/apartment. There was nothing and no one here worth my nostalgia anymore. When Emily opens the folder tomorrow, she will find that there is a paternity test report inside. The next morning, I went to the company to resign. When I arrived at the company, almost everyone was looking at me with strange eyes. I instantly understood that the colleagues who saw me arguing with Emily yesterday must have spread rumors about me in the company. But it doesn't matter, I'm leaving anyway. For so many years, I had hardly fulfilled my obligation to care for his parents because of Emily and my son. Now, it was time to go back. I bought a train ticket home. As soon as I got off the train, I received a call from Emily. She was still arrogant and domineering. "Michael, where did you run off to? Brother-in-law's scheduled rehabilitation time is almost here. Didn't you promise yesterday that you would take good care of your brother-in-law with me?" I twitched my lips. It seemed that Emily hadn't seen what I had left for her. I prompted her, "Look at the table." Her impatient voice came, "What's on the table?" Before she could finish speaking, she stopped abruptly. The next moment, her voice rang out sharply, "Divorce agreement? What do you mean? Michael Zimmerman, are you getting bolder? Want to use the divorce agreement to force me to drive the brother-in-law away? How can you be so despicable and shameless?" I smiled helplessly and reminded her, "Next to it." There was a rustling sound on the other end of the phone. Emily said in disbelief, "No, it's impossible. Jacob can't not be your child." Listening to her words, I thought of taking Jacob to see my dad and mom before. Before leaving, my mom grabbed my hand and pulled me into the study, asking me vaguely, "Michael, why does Jacob look nothing like you when you were young?" Besides, Emily gave birth to Jacob a month prematurely. I interrupted my mom's words seriously, telling her not to say such things in the future. I believe Emily is not that kind of person. But the seed of doubt still took root in my heart. As my son grew older, I could see more and more that Jacob looked neither like me nor like her. I still couldn't help but take a sample to do a paternity test. I didn't expect that the ending would be exactly what I didn't want to see. But thinking that Emily had lived a good life with me these past few years, I gritted my teeth and hid the paternity test, and I still treated Jacob as my son. But now, I came back to my senses and shook my head with a wry smile. Emily explained in a panic, "On Valentine's Day that year, I saw my brother-in-law and sister kissing, and I felt extremely lost. I went to drink and get drunk alone. When I woke up, I was in a hotel, but it was only that one time. How could it be so coincidental?" "No, you must have tested it wrong," I said lightly. "It can't be wrong." I took Jacob's hair to the testing center. "Emily, since you have already promised Daniel Cloud to carry on the family name for him, and Jacob is not my son, let's get a divorce. You can live a good life together in the future." Emily's voice turned cold. "Are you serious?" Before I could answer, she started to accuse me. "Michael Zimmerman, I misjudged you. I didn't expect you to be this kind of person." I was stunned. It was her fault, so why did she blame me instead? She continued, "So what if Jacob is not your biological son? He has called you dad for 5 years after all. How can you be so heartless as to say you don't want him? If you love me, you shouldn't dislike Jacob. After all, he came out of my belly. I didn't want to listen to her unreasonable words anymore, so I hung up the phone immediately. I went home, but when I opened the door, the house/apartment was empty. Just as I was wondering, the neighbor next door saw me and was very surprised. "Michael, you're finally back. I said your dad and mom should have told you, you can't hide it all the time." I suddenly had a bad feeling. After listening to the neighbors nagging for a long time, I understood that my mom was sick and had been hospitalized recently. After finding out the address, I took a taxi to the hospital. After finally finding my dad and mom, I suddenly turned red in the eyes when I saw my dad's gray hair. I slapped myself hard. I was simply an unfilial son, too useless. I didn't know anything when my dad and mom needed me the most. My dad was awakened by my slap. He turned his head and saw me. His eyes lit up, but he quickly reacted. "What are you doing here? There's nothing serious about your mom. Go back to work quickly." My mom also opened her eyes. My mom, who used to be chubby, now has sunken cheeks. She glared at my dad reproachfully. "What are you doing? The child just came, and you're chasing him away." I choked up and went forward, holding my mom's hand tightly. "Mom, why didn't you tell me you were sick?" My mom smiled. "It's so far away. Telling you would only make you worry for nothing. Don't worry, Mom is fine." I learned from the neighbor that my mom had a tumor. Fortunately, it was benign. My mom had just had surgery and could be discharged from the hospital after a few more days of rest. These few days, I took good care of my mom in the hospital. During this time, my mom asked me why Emily and Jacob didn't come. I didn't want them to worry about me anymore, so I perfunctorily brushed it all off. But I didn't expect that Emily would bring Jacob over. She rushed over and knocked over the porridge I was holding, pointing at my nose and scolding. "Good for you, Michael Zimmerman, you want to divorce me just to come back to take care of these two old geezers." A burst of anger suddenly rushed to the top of my head. I stood up abruptly. "These are my dad and mom. How can you talk like that? No matter what, they are your elders." Emily looked disdainful. "TCH. If they had any conscience, they should have persuaded you to go home, instead of letting you abandon your wife and son to take care of them. Your dad and mom have hands and feet. Why should they let you take care of them? Go! Come home with me." Emily grabbed me hard. My face sank, and I shook her hand away fiercely, scolding her for the first time. "Get out. We have already agreed to divorce. Don't pester me anymore." Seeing this, my son ran over and punched and kicked me, crying to Emily, "Mom, I told you I want Uncle Daniel to be my dad. Why don't you want to? Dad only knows how to bully you. I hate him." I twitched the corners of my mouth. I couldn't remember how many times my son had said he hated me. But fortunately, I don't care anymore. My dad and mom, who witnessed all this, were stunned. My dad tugged at my arm. "Michael, don't make trouble. You and Emily have such a big child. Isn't it a joke to get a divorce?" My mom also said, "Yes, you go home with Emily quickly. Your dad will take care of me. Don't worry." I suddenly felt a sour feeling in my nose. My dad and mom were always like this, never telling me about their grievances, even pretending not to hear when Emily pointed at them and scolded them. But I can't let Emily go anymore. How can I watch my dad and mom be bullied? I glanced at Emily coldly. "Get out before I get angry." Emily suddenly smiled. "Do you dare? You wimp. Okay, I know you have been jealous of me and my brother-in-law. I have already discussed it with Uncle Daniel and Aunt Daniel. They have taken their brother-in-law home and won't bother us anymore. Look how generous brother-in-law is. Can you learn from brother-in-law, a big man with such a narrow mind?" Seeing that I was unmoved, she said again, stop pretending. I saw the date of the paternity test was 3 years ago, which means you knew 3 years ago, but you still pretended to be a grandson all day long? She was right. I originally wanted to endure it all the time, but what she is doing now has made it unbearable. My eyes fell on her. Then I'll take care of you during this period before you give birth. The confinement period? Emily said. As a matter of course, let your mom take care of the child. Anyway, she has nothing to do all day long. I am her daughter-in-law. Who else will she take care of? I was completely dead set. I smiled sarcastically. Emily, do you deserve it? Emily's face changed. What do you mean? I bent down, picked up the thermos from the bedside, and slammed it at her feet. Get out. She screamed in fright and dodged, and then she took her son's hand and looked at me hatefully. Michael Zimmerman, I'm giving you a chance now, and you don't take it. Don't come looking for me when you regret it. I ignored her, looking at her with cold eyes as she turned and left with her son. My dad and mom asked me worriedly, Michael, what's wrong? How did it get to the point where you have to get a divorce? I smiled wryly, knowing that there was no point in hiding it anymore in this situation, so I told them everything that had happened in the past few months. After I finished speaking, my mom's tears had already soaked her face. She cried and shouted, their family is too bullying. Let her have a child for her brother-in-law. Is this something a decent family can do? Jacob is not your son. I said he doesn't look like you at all. Michael, your dad and mom support any decision you make. I nodded. Just because I knew that my dad and mom were always my strong backing, I was able to leave them to be with Emily in the first place. Now, it was time for me to fulfill my filial duty. Early the next morning, I went through the discharge procedures for my mom. As soon as I walked to the hospital door, I ran into Emily again. She looked at me with red eyes. Michael Zimmerman, are you going to be so heartless? Is our relationship of so many years fake? Now I'm pregnant again. You don't come back to take care of me. What am I going to do? I sneered. Let whoever's child you're carrying take care of you. I can't take care of you anyway. Emily bit her lip. You know that brother-in-law has a broken leg. How can he take care of me? I really couldn't be bothered to argue with her about this, and said coldly, if you insist on pestering me about this, I don't mind letting others know about your dirty deeds, or we can go to court and let the judge see if we should get a divorce. Emily's body swayed suddenly. Michael Zimmerman, why do you always have to argue about these things? My sister is gone. I just want to help my brother-in-law as much as I can. Over the years, I have already fallen in love with you. Let's not get a divorce, okay? Her eyes were full of tears, looking pitiful, but I still couldn't forget the scene where she pointed at me and pointed at my parents, scolding them harshly. After a long time, I still shook my head and pulled away the hand that was grabbing my sleeve. I looked at her with dark eyes. Emily, let's break up peacefully. Just then, a taxi stopped in front of me. I helped my dad and mom into the car, leaving Emily and Jacob standing there. A week later, I received a divorce agreement from Emily, with her name signed neatly on it. I breathed a deep sigh of relief. From then on, I had nothing to do with her anymore. I found a job near my house. My dad and mom asked me if I had any plans to remarry and said they would introduce me to someone, but after thinking about it, I still refused. Before I completely let go of the past, I didn't want to enter into a new relationship. But I never expected that 6 months later, I would see a very pregnant Emily at my doorstep. Her hair was a mess, and her clothes were covered in sweat, a far cry from the radiant woman she used to be. As soon as she saw me, she struggled to her feet and threw herself into my arms. Michael Zimmerman, Uncle Daniel, and Aunt Daniel want me to send Jacob away. They say their grandson needs to be taken care of by his biological mother, and that I should focus on taking care of my child and my brother-in-law's child. In a fit of anger, I blurted out that Jacob wasn't your son, hoping to dissuade them from making me give Jacob to you. But who knew that after my brother-in-law found out, he went even further, cursing Jacob as a bastard of unknown origin when I wasn't around. He even told Uncle Daniel to take Jacob away and abandon him. Now I can't find Jacob. What should I do? Michael Zimmerman, Jacob has called you Dad for 5 years. Please, can you help me find him? I pushed her away, sighed, and opened the door. Come in. Jacob was standing in my living room, his eyes swollen and red. In just 6 months, he had learned about the coldness of human relationships. Seeing Emily, he asked through tears, Mom, am I a bastard? Uncle says I'm not Dad's son. Then where's my dad? I don't want Uncle to be my dad anymore. I want to find my real dad. Emily choked out an apology. I'm sorry. I understood what she meant because she didn't know who Jacob's biological father was either. Amid the stalemate, Jacob suddenly rushed towards Emily's belly. He cried out, Mom, don't give Uncle a little brother, then they won't drive me away. It's all your fault, Mom. If you weren't going to give Uncle a little brother, they wouldn't treat me like this. You're my mom. Why don't you protect me? I hate you. Emily was caught off guard, and Jacob knocked her to the ground. Although she held her belly tightly when she fell, a large amount of blood gurgled from her lower body. Just then, my apartment door was kicked open from the outside. I subconsciously looked up and saw Daniel Cloud and his parents standing at the door. 09 Seeing this scene, Daniel Cloud quickly wheeled himself to Emily's side, shouting with rage, My baby. Daniel Cloud's dad went straight to Jacob and kicked him to the ground. Daniel Cloud's mom pointed at Jacob and said viciously, If anything happens to the baby in your mom's belly, I'll kill you, you little bastard. After saying that, they immediately picked up Emily from the ground and took her to the hospital. Jacob looked at me pleadingly, Dad, can you take me to the hospital? I finally couldn't bear it and took Jacob to the hospital. By the time we arrived, Emily had already been sent to the operating room. Seeing us, Daniel Cloud wheeled over and slapped Jacob hard across the face, and blood immediately trickled from the corner of Jacob's mouth. Seeing that he was about to hit him again, I quickly stopped him. Enough, are you even a man, hitting such a small child? Daniel Cloud sneered at me, I'm not like you, willing to wear a green hat, truly a cuckold. I laughed too, still so tough even though you're crippled. Just as we were talking, the surgery was over. Daniel Cloud's mom hurried up to ask, Doctor, how's my grandson? The doctor looked at her expressionlessly. The patient was brought here in time, and the mother and child are both fine. Daniel Cloud's mom breathed a sigh of relief, and Daniel Cloud's dad pushed Emily to the ward. I followed Jacob over. Emily had just woken up. She saw Daniel Cloud next to her, and her gaze turned cold. Brother-in-law, I don't want this child. What are you talking about? Daniel Cloud refused vehemently, just like I refused Emily when she wanted to have a child for him. The child is already 7 months old. You can't just say you don't want it. Did that little bastard say something? I'm telling you that little bastard has to be sent away. He's so malicious. He dares to hurt people at such a young age. Won't he become a murderer when he grows up? Emily's face was pale, and tears streamed down her face. She was crying so hard that she could barely breathe. Jacob is my son. I won't send him away, no matter what. As she said that, she looked at me. Michael Zimmerman, I was wrong. I should have listened to you. How could I have agreed to such an absurd request? Daniel Cloud's mom stood in front of her. Emily, how can you be so shameless, trying to seduce a man while pregnant? Don't forget, you're divorced. The child in your belly is Daniel Cloud's now. You have to be a virtuous woman and stop doing those shameless things. Emily gritted her teeth in anger. You old hag, you pretended to be so kind when you were begging me, but now you're showing your true colors. Daniel Cloud's mom snorted coldly. In the end, it's just you being a slut and wanting to freeload off my son." Emily seemed to be furious and started to speak recklessly. "What kind of good thing is your son? He's just a cripple who will be in a wheelchair for the rest of his life. I'm telling you, I'm not going to have this child. Let your Daniel Cloud family die without descendants. People like you don't deserve to have offspring." Seeing that they were arguing more and more fiercely, I quietly left the hospital. After all, I was just an outsider to them at this time. It wasn't good to be watching the show at this time. I don't know if Emily gave birth to that child later, and I'm not interested in knowing. I just didn't see them for a long time, so I didn't think about them anymore. Just as I was slowly forgetting them, one day after getting off work, I saw Emily and Jacob waiting at my apartment door again. I was stunned. I didn't know what she was here for. Walking closer, I said calmly, "Is there something you need?" Emily didn't speak, pursed her lips, and then looked at me and suddenly smiled. As she smiled, tears fell from her eyes. Her voice trembled slightly in the wind. "It's nothing, it's just," she paused, "Jacob missed you. I brought him to see you." I looked at the son I had raised for 5 years, and my heart was a little complicated. Jacob looked up at me cautiously. "Dad, I'm sorry, I was too willful before." I touched his head. After all, he was only a 6-year-old child. He only said some harsh words to me and didn't hurt me. So I easily responded to him, "I forgive you." But there was still some unavoidable resentment in my heart, but there was no need to say it. But the next moment, his words stunned me. "Dad, if you forgive me, can you get back together with Mom?" I suddenly looked at Emily, and she was also looking at me, silent, but I saw a trace of longing in her eyes. I didn't speak, and Emily suddenly explained, "I didn't give birth to that child. I know I was wrong. Can you give me another chance?" I still didn't speak. I didn't know what to say. I suddenly thought of the time when I was still with Emily. At that time, every time we argued, I almost always apologized because I loved her and I didn't want any estrangement between us. It's funny to say, this was the first time Emily had taken the initiative to bow her head and beg for reconciliation. It's a pity, it's too late, everything has already gone back. For a long, long time, so long that I felt time was almost standing still, Emily probably understood what I meant. She raised her head and gave me a hasty smile, her face pale, and grabbed Jacob's hand tremblingly. "Okay, Jacob, you've seen Dad too. It's time for us to go home. I took a day off for you today, but you still have to go to school tomorrow." She staggered and turned around. "Michael Zimmerman, we're leaving." Jacob was unwilling to leave. He suddenly broke free from Emily's hand and ran towards me. He cried hoarsely. A 6-year-old child already understood too much. He hugged my leg. "Dad, I was wrong. I know I was wrong. I will be obedient in the future. Please don't abandon me and Mom. Please, Dad." My heart wavered for a moment. Emily rushed over and grabbed Jacob's hand and pulled him away. "Jacob, what did Mom tell you? Dad has his own life too. We can't disturb Dad." Finally, she whispered, "Don't be soft-hearted. I don't want you to pity us." I stopped moving. Yes, although I still loved her, we could never go back, so why bother to entangle anymore? I quickly took a few steps away from them, quickly took out the key, opened the door, and went in, all in one go. But at the moment the door closed, a tear fell from the corner of my eye and disappeared quickly into the ground. My mom couldn't stand it anymore, and even started to persuade me. "Michael Zimmerman, why don't you get back together?" Mom said. "We will support you in whatever decision you make." I shook my head with a wry smile. "Mom, there's no going back.